Many people ask, can they do probate themselves? It's not beyond the realms of possibility. However, you need to bear in mind that sometimes estates may appear quite simple and straightforward at the outset, but then as you work your way through them, they actually are more complex. And what we commonly find at the Law House is many people start out doing the probate themselves, and then many months into it, it gets very complicated, and then they get fed up, and then they do nothing. And so often we have to pick up the pieces and virtually start from scratch again. So if somebody comes to us and asks us, can I do it myself? We usually go through the sort of issues that might arise and leave it up to them at that point to decide whether they want to go ahead and do it themselves. You can download the forms from the website, which allow you to fill in all the details of the assets and make a personal application. And that can be relatively straightforward, but if the state suddenly turns up with assets that you weren't expecting, it can get very complicated. In my experience, people just get very frustrated and very unhappy with the process and then turn up and say, here's the box of all my papers, can you deal with it? Many people ask me what probate means, and I think there isn't any real clear answer, because in its fullest sense, it means if you have a will and you are named as an executor, you will apply to the court for a grant of probate. If there isn't a will and there are obviously no executors, it's then called administration of an estate. But probate in essence is the administration of an estate from start to beginning, the identifying what the assets are in the estate, obtaining values, filling in all the necessary forms that go to the probate court, and dealing with any tax issues that arise in the estate. Another good question that people ask is, do they need to actually take out a grant of probate? And the simple answer is, no, you don't always need to. However, in my experience, I find that people start out very confident in dealing with an estate, and somewhere around the 3 to 6 month mark, they suddenly find that they're just so frustrated with the whole process. They get fed up, stop doing anything, and then several months after that will turn up at the office with a box of paperwork to do with their mum or dad, and they say, you deal with it. I cannot speak to the Halifax or Santander anymore. So all the forms are downloadable from the website, but sometimes it's a good idea, even if you are going to do the process yourself, to get the advice or assistance from a solicitor. And at the Law House, we're very happy to do that. So yes, you can actually do probate yourself. The biggest question that people ask when they ring us up or come to the office is, how much does probate cost? And like most things, how long is a piece of string? For very simple estates, it's easy to be able to give the client a rough idea of how much it's going to cost. At the Law House, we try to identify, where possible, what the assets are in the estate, the likely time frame, if there are any tax issues that might be in the estate, and we do our best to offer clients a fixed fee. So that's the fee. Once it's set, you will know how much you will pay at the very end of the administration of the estate. If things crop up that weren't prepared for, we then will quote separately on them. But some estates can cost quite a bit, and if you ring around, you will find that solicitors will quote very differently. Some charge a percentage of the estate, some charge on an hourly rate, and some will charge an additional fee if the estate is particularly complex. When somebody dies, there are, I think, about 3 or 4 things that you need to deal with fairly quickly. First of all, obviously, you have to register the death. In this country, you've got 5 working days to do that. And another curious thing that people don't know is that if you're the person registering the death, you must also be the person who is arranging the funeral. The second thing is to identify whether the person who has died has left a will. Sometimes that's very easy to find, sometimes it's not. Then there are things like gathering up all the information about the client's assets. Also looking maybe to secure the person who's died's home, because believe it or not, people who have maybe not great intentions will often read the death notices in newspapers. So it's really important to secure the home and the assets. And they're kind of the key things. So registering the death, identifying if there's a will or not, looking to secure the assets and the deceased's home.